Okay, so this is going to be an introduction to some of the aspects of Tinkerplots. You can remember, go back and watch the videos that are on the Tinkerplots website as well. But these are, this might help give you some additional instruction. So first we're going to look at where we get to some of the sample files. So once you've opened up Tinkerplots, go to File, Open Sample Document, and then oftentimes it defaults to this data and demos file, or maybe it defaults to one of these files. Every once in a while something happens on my computer and it doesn't go directly here. So if that happens to you and you need to get into the data and demos file, just start back at your computer or local disk C and then look for program files. For some reason I have two files called program files on my computer, but in your program files folder is where likely, if you just did the default, the normal install of Tinkerplots, that's where it should be. So then go to Tinkerplots and then data and demos. And for this one we are going to look at, let's go to sports and entertainment, and we'll look at basketball. So here we have 75 information on 75 different basketball players. So here's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Year he was inducted was 1995. His height is 86, and it says over here the units, inches. The weight is 267 pounds, and so on. So each of these is an attribute for this case 1. These are statistics of 75 players in the Basketball Hall of Fame up to the year 2003. And then we can see other statistics there. As I click on an attribute over here, notice the colors over here change. What that is they are coloring these icons by the value of that attribute. So let's look at one of these, like position. There are a few different colors over here for position. If I click on key up here, it tells us what they are. So we have some that are pink, those are centers, forwards, and guards. Notice that there are some that are gray, and if we look over here at position, well, that just means there's no information for that person on position. So if it's a gray, there's no value for that attribute. Some of the attributes, like height, notice they aren't distinct colors like it was with position, but instead it's a gradient of this one color here. And what that is whenever you have numerical data and it recognizes it as numerical data, it will color it with one color and just different shades of that color. So we can tell just by looking over here which of these are numeric data and which of them are categorical data by the way that they are colored. We are going to look at how we can order things that are in numeric data. So let's put something like rebounds in here. I'm going to turn off this key just because it's in the way right now. And we can put these in order by how many rebounds per game the person averaged. By clicking this button here, we can either order these horizontally or vertically. I will go ahead and order them vertically. And notice now what it's done is taken all of those that are lightly colored and put them at the bottom, and all of them that are darkly colored, put them at the top. And then if we put our key on there, we can see if we had about 23, we're darker, and about 1, it's lighter. Horizontally they are still random, but vertically it has ordered them by their rebounds. We could also do that same thing, order them horizontally. Now the lower numbers are on the left and the higher numbers are on the right. Once they are ordered, you could stack them if you wanted. So if I want to stack these vertically, then just puts them all here into account. Notice we don't have anything on our axis down here because these were ordered horizontally, but I didn't put an axis down here putting them along an axis, and so they weren't by specific values, they were just kind of put in order. If I stack them horizontally, now it kind of leaves them in order, and so we see the count And the total count, remember, was 75, so we have 75. It ends over here about 75. We could put some labels on here. It's not going to be very helpful since there's so many different ones. When you label these, you can put labels on the left, labels above, labels below. If you had fewer data points, it would be helpful to maybe put some labels on here. Right now it's just a big mess, so it wasn't very helpful, but in the future, if you have few data points and you want to label them, you can. If ever you need to rearrange the data, you can just click this button down here and it just randomly puts it in a new place. We can separate these into bins, so I currently have rebounds selected, so it's going to separate these into bins by rebounds, so I can just click on one and drag to the right. Just dragging a little bit will separate these into 2 bins, and they will make the bins equal size, so from 0 to 20 rebounds per game, and then 20 to 40 rebounds per game, equal sized bins there. And so we can tell there are a lot more people that had between 0 and 20 rebounds per game than there were between 20 and 40. Now if I stack them, we get this count over here, and so you can see somewhere in the 70s, which we know is actually 72, since we have this extra one over here that they don't have data on. So 72 are in this one, 2 are over here. If we turn on our counts, it will tell us that as well. And if you take one of these and pull it to the right, it now will create 3 equal sized bins. And you can keep doing this. If you pull all the way to the right, it will fully separate. And now we have this axis on the bottom. Remember, I have these stacked. If they weren't stacked, it would kind of just be, they'd be above where their value is on the horizontal axis. But if I stack them, then we kind of get this dot plot here. We can drag a new attribute onto the x-axis, so maybe now I'm not interested in looking at rebounds, but instead I'm looking at points per game. Drag that down here, and now we can see it moves everything around quickly. We still have the few points per game over here, higher points per game over here, and we can see how those data are distributed along the x-axis. And now it's also colored differently. It's not colored by rebounds, it's colored by points. If I just click on rebounds, it will still have them ordered and put onto the plot by points, but now it's colored by rebounds. So you're kind of looking at 2 variables at once, which is more like mod 2, where we are looking more at 2 variables at once. Another thing we can do is, let's say we want to compare these. We're going to make some dot plots, and we're going to compare heights by position. So let's randomize these again, and I'm going to look at height. I'm going to fully separate the cases by height, and now let's look at position. So I'm going to color these by position. And then if we want, we can take one of these and drag it up, and now it separates, because I just took a green one and dragged it up, it separates it to green and then all others. If I take another one and drag it up, now I have separated into center, forward, and guard. And if I stack these, now it kind of makes a box plot for each one of these, and we can kind of, not a box plot, a dot plot for each one of these, and we can kind of get a sense of, well, it looks to me like guards tend to be shorter than forwards, who tend to be shorter than centers. Kind of looks like that according to these dot plots. We can turn on averages, either the median or the mean, and it will put a mean or median for each one of those, or put the mean for each one of those. You can turn on a reference line, and this is just kind of helpful because it'll help you see down on the horizontal axis where it is. So it looks like the median height for guards is about 74.2 inches. The mean height for guards is about 74.5 inches. The mean height for forwards is about 78.5, and the median height for forwards is about 78 or 79, and so on. So you'll be doing an activity similar to this with regards to fish for your Tinkerplots assignment. So I've showed you some of the features here that might be helpful with that assignment, but don't forget to go back and watch the Tinkerplots videos as well. And let your facilitator know if you have any questions.